Okay, so good morning, everybody. And so this is a big pleasure for me to be here, also only in a virtual mode. And in this presentation, I and Stefania Varano, that unfortunately cannot be here today, will present you an evolution of the multisensory planetarium presented 2 years ago in the previous edition of the CAP conference.
Hi everyone. Today, Federico Di Giacomo and I, Stefania Varano from the National Institute for Astrophysics, will present to you a project called Touching the Stars, Modular Constellations for Multisensory Learning. The original idea of this work was astronomy beyond sight. The first thing that can come to mind is astronomy in other wavelengths, out of visible ones. Astronomy that is not visible and that can be represented also in other ways that are not necessarily accessible using the sight. When we thought about this, though, one thing that came to mind was the fact that sight has an important role also in our cultural and traditional perception of the sky, since what we grow up with since we're very little is the tales about this night sky, this celestial vault, this dark veil punctuated with bright points that are the stars that can be also grouped into imaginary shapes and named after these shapes. And this is something that also a blind or visually impaired person can grow up with, but had never had the direct experience, perhaps, of this concept. So the original idea was to create a fair representation of fair data, which means data that are necessarily perceived as numerical ones because they are not visible for our eyes, namely, let's say, radio astronomical data, and having a fair representation of them using other senses. But then we decided to take into account also this traditional and cultural part, so to start with a fair representation of unfair data, which are the visual representation of the night sky. That's why we started with the multisensory planetarium representing the night sky within the framework of universal design, namely having inside the design also different modes and different ways to access the information that was represented in it. And after it, we decided to use parts of this design also as small tablets with groups of stars, namely the constellations, and gave as resources, as educational tools for teachers and students. And we experimented this activity during the teacher training program Spritz in Italy, where we delivered this list of stars with their physical characteristics and some tools to create their own representation. The aim of this project was to have a co-design with shared different perception. In the case in which in the working group there was a student with difficulties in using their sight, or on the other side to foster awareness in the case in which the students were all without difficulties to use their sight, to make them think about what a representation could be like to be usable also for people that were blind or visually impaired.
Okay, so in this second part of our presentation, I will describe more in detail the technical part in order to realize this multisensory constellation. So, as Stefania said before, we present this activity during a teacher training. And in the first part of this activity, we give to the different participants some element like electronic board, cardboard, LEDs, metal bolts, and some other thing. And in more or less in 2 hours, we describe first the structure of the. We did we asked to the teacher to represent the Cassiopeia constellation. We choose this constellation in order because it's easy. There is no many star. It's fine, easily to find it in the sky. And at the beginning, we describe the characteristics of the different star, the constellation with the distance, the magnitude, and so. Then we present the electronic circuits that we use and the different parts. And in general, we use in our representation that there is the same representation used in the multisensory planetarium. We use the LED in order to represent the apparent magnitude of the star. The position of these metal balls here represent the position of the star directly in the constellation. And when you touch this, and this metal part are the capacitive sensor. This means then that when you touch one of these, you can hear a sound with a different volume, and the volume represents the magnitude of the apparent magnitude of the star. So in this way, we have two different channels for the same information. So after this, we describe the teacher realize their constellation. This is a 3D model of the constellation, and then we analyze with the teacher the code to load on this electronic board, and we present how to change this code in order to represent many different other constellations, or using different mapping of the different stimulus. So sometimes later, a teacher represents a new version of this constellation with a different mapping of this. In particular, this is the representation that she used. In our representation, we use LED only with the same color, because our idea is to present only the different magnitude of the star. Instead, the teacher used LED with different color in order to represent the different spectral characteristics of the star. In this case, the metal bar with a different height represents the distance of the star from us. And when you touch one of these metal bar, you can hear a sound with a different frequency, with a different note, and each note are connected with the color, with the spectral characteristics of the sound. So here there is a video where the teacher describes in Italian what I describe to you in English.
Planetario nel loro spane, la Epsilon in particolare, seguendo con il tatto l'alternanza delle viti.
So as you can hear, there is different sound in order to represent the different characteristics of the sound. So sometimes later, the teacher tested this constellation with a blind student, and at the beginning she touched this tablet in order to identify the dimension of the tablet, the position of the star, and so. And then the teacher guided the blind girl in order to touch the different star. And she says, for example, so touch this star. Okay, you heard a particular note. So this note is connected to a blue star. This means that the star is very hot. So now touch another part, another bar. Okay, there is a different sound. This means that, for example, this is a red star. This means that this star is cooler than the before. And the student the student was very happy to use this instrument to understand the characteristics of the constellation, in order to understand that the star has a different color, and the color are connected to different characteristics of the temperature, different characteristics of the star. So, to conclude, in this practical and user-centered approach has a very big pedagogical value. In fact, some particular complex concept like the spectral characteristic, the temperature, the distance, the magnitude of the star become very easily for everyone, because you can use this activity not only for blind people but for everyone in order to present and study the different characteristics of the star. And as the teacher before realized his particular mapping, his particular constellation, many other teachers realize other mapping, other constellation in order to present the different characteristics of the star, but also to different characteristics of different other object in the sky. So thank you very much, and if you have some question or other, I'm here.
Thank you, Federico. Are there questions online? We are waiting for questions online. So maybe I can just ask here the audience if there are questions here, so we can, okay, one question here.
Thank you. I'm wondering if you have gotten to the point of being able to gather some data, metrics, and so on how well this has worked for you. What has the outcome been so far? The main question.
Sorry, can I?
What outcome has there been? How many students have you worked with? Have you measured in some way the effectiveness of this compared to other methods or anything like that?
Okay, so we use this activity only with the teacher, and the teacher bring this activity in their classroom. So now we have only the video that I showed before are the only representation that the different teacher that participate to this teacher training, and now we don't have any other information, but we are in contact with the different teacher in order to evaluate the effectiveness of this activity.
Thank you. I believe that we can move to the second talk that is Federico will speak about, right?
Yeah.
The second talk is about multilingual and augmented museum experience, communicating astronomy at Museum La Specola. So please go ahead. You can share your screen.
Yeah. Okay. No. Oh, one moment.
Yeah.
Second. Okay. You can see.
Yes, now we can see. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so this is another project in which I am involved. More or less is about the same theme. So the use of technology in order to make astronomy more accessible for everyone, but in another field, because in this case, I and my team use new technology like artificial intelligence and holographic projection in order to describe to everyone the characteristics and the beauty of the history of astronomy, and in particular in the cultural heritage preserved in the Museum La Specola. So, very briefly, the Museum La Specola is the museum of the Observatory of Padova. The Observatory of Padova is one of the oldest astronomical observatory in Italy. It is the story starts in 1767, and since this date to today, here work the astronomer. This place is the house of the Paduan astronomer, and here the astronomer study the sky, analyze the star, planet, galaxy, and so. Instead, the observation are moved into the Asiago Astrophysical Observatory, because here the Specola, this tower, is in the center of the city. There is a problem of light pollution and so. In 1994, we opened our museum in the tower, and the museum is divided principally in three different rooms. This one, and here the visitor can explore the place where the astronomer work during the century, can see the different instruments, the different documents used by the astronomer. More or less every year, around 8,000 of visitors come in our museum, and the feedback that we receive are very, very good. The visitors said that it's a very beautiful place. It's very nice to discover the history of astronomy, to go to the top of the tower and see the city from the top, and so. But we have a big problem, because more or less 20-25% of our visitors come from other countries. And our visit was only in Italian, and only in a very, very few cases also in English. So for this reason, in 2025, we decided to realize a new project in order to transform the museum in a multilingual museum. So here there is the distribution of the people that come in our museum. A lot of people are English speaking, but there is also German, East Europe, Chinese, and so. And in order to obtain this, in order to realize a multilingual museum, we use artificial intelligence. So, in particular, we use an hybrid approach. So, the core of our project is a web app. In each room, the visitors can find this poster where describe how to use the web app. You can scan this QR code, and when you scan this QR code, the visitor enter in a web page where they can choose 6 different languages: English, French, German, Spanish, Chinese, and Slovenian. And in order to realize this audio, we use an hybrid approach. For English and Slovenia, we use a traditional method. So we contact an actor, and we translate our visit in English and in Slovenian, and then the actor read the text of the visit. Instead, for the other language, we use artificial intelligence. So we ask to some actor, some French or Deutsch actor, to read only few sentences of our visit in their language, and we give to this the record of these few sentences to the artificial intelligence in order to realize a model of the voice of this actor, and then we ask to the artificial intelligence to realize all the text in the different language. In this way, everyone that come in our museum can use their phone in order to understand the characteristics, the beauty of the history of our place in their favorite language. In general, for a group, we use the same method also for group. In this case, there is some stereo in the different room, and using the same web app, the guide push the play button, and there is the audio in English or Chinese and so on. So we use Google Analytics in order to analyze the use of this web app, and we can see also the distribution of the people that use this web app, and more or less in 1 year about 1,000 of people use our web app. And also in this case, the feedback that we receive are very, very interesting, with congratulations, because it's very useful thing. In addition, during the COVID period, we realized a virtual tour of our museum. So for the people that cannot move and come to visit our museum, we bring our museum directly in the house of the different people. But the virtual museum, this virtual tour now are only in Italian. But thanks to this method, we translate our virtual tour also in other language. And this is very interesting because in order to go on the top of the tower, there is 200 of steps. And so for people that have problem to move, this is very difficult to arrive on the top. Instead, with the use of the virtual tour and with the use of the headset or cardboard or other virtual reality tour, they can explore only on a virtual mode our museum. So the last part of our project is to use artificial intelligence and holographic projection in order to engage the public and describe the history of astronomy. So the last room of our museum is called Figure Room, because there is some original fresco realized in 18th century that describe the history, that show the main character of the history of astronomy, like Galileo, Newton, Copernicus, Ptolemy, and so on. And because when the first director of the observatory decided to realize this, the Paduan Observatory wanted to realize something to study, to observe the sky, but also for something for this for the public, for the society, sort of outreach activity. And so, following this idea, we use new technology in order to realize a dialogue between these three characters, Galileo, Newton, and Copernicus, in order to describe their revolution. And so, as in this case, we take a picture of the different fresco. We ask to the artificial intelligence to restore this image, and this is very interesting because when I asked to the artificial intelligence to restore the picture of Galileo, the artificial intelligence said me, okay, I don't, this is impossible because Galileo is a public character. Okay, don't worry. I asked the same about Newton, and the artificial intelligence restored the image of Newton without problem. So I don't know why, but so. Then using the same approach of the multilingual web app, we ask to some actor to record only a few parts of this dialogue. We realize a virtual model of their voice, and then obtain the dialogue of this of the entire dialogue of these characters. Finally, using another tool of artificial intelligence, another software, very useful but very complex, called CAP2026, we use this to obtain a perfect lip sync between the text and the movement of the mouth and the body of this different character. So this is an example about Galileo. Now is only in Italian, but we are working also to translate also in English.
Ah, che vista mozzafiato! Padova si stende sotto di noi come un tappeto di tetti e campanili. Devo ammettere, amici miei, che pur avendo vissuto qui per
of the Specola, and it's very interesting. The movement of the mouth, the expression is a very realistic with the dialogue. So now we use in autumn, we organize a big event where, thanks to some holographic monitor, these 3 characters dialogue into the figure room in order to describe the different characteristics of the Specola. Finally, thanks to this activity, we use the new technology in order to engage the public and make the astronomy more accessible for everyone in order to describe the beauty and the characteristics of the history of astronomy and the sky. So, thank you very much, and I'm here for question.
Thank you, Federico. You can hear probably the applause from from Armenia. So I believe the online chair would have one question for you, the online question. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, hi Federico. So amazing talks. We have 2 questions online. One is from your previous talk, Touching the Stars. So they're asking, is there a website where your activity is available online?
We are working in order to put our activity online. Yes, we are writing all the documentation and the code and all the material in order to share with everyone our activity.
Great. And the second question is from this talk. They're asking, which AI tools did you use in different cases for creating the multilingual audios and the frescoes?
Okay, so for to realize the different audio, we work in contact with a private company. The name of the company is Preludio. Is an Italian company, and they are specialized to use artificial intelligence to realize audio or to realize audio in particular. And so they realize a particular AI tool for this project.
Okay, so great. Can we take one last question online? It's a really short one. Okay, so they're asking, is the AI translation reviewed by human or is it 100% automated?
Sorry, I don't.
Is the AI translation reviewed by human or is it 100% automated?
No, are reviewed by us. So we ask to the AI to translate this one, and then we check the translation both with us for the technical part, but also with the human translator in order to check the correct form of the sentence.
Okay, so these are all online questions. We can go on site now.
Thank you. Maybe one just quick question here. No questions for now, so we can move to the next speaker. Next speaker is Silvia Casu from Italy. She will speak about Blue in AAC, inclusive astronomy through augmentative and alternative communication. Silvia, hi Silvia. We can hear. You can hear.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Good morning to everyone. I'm really happy to be here today, even if not in presence. I'm so sorry. My name is Silvia Casu. I'm a researcher at the Italian National Institute for Astrophysics, INAF. And I'm very happy to be here to present this pilot project, Blue in AAC, which aimed to reshaping astronomy for neurodiverse learners. This talk is about simple but challenging question. How can we make the beauty of space accessible to children or people who are too often left out of traditional communication? So next please. Can I change the slide or sorry? Okay. Our starting point is a common shared belief. The cosmos belongs to everyone, and we live under the same sky. This is a common motto for astronomical community in general, but in enough our enough working group, which is called Universal. You can find the QR code to see our general activity. We want to move from these beautiful words to real action. So we want to focus on real inclusion. And to do this, we decided to use the universal design for learning. The idea behind it is very simple. You instead of creating activities and then try to adapt it for someone with special needs, you design everything from the very beginning to have multiple ways of engaging kids or people, multiple ways of presenting information, multiple ways for them to express themselves. So we want a framework where the learner is truly at the center of the action. Next. But to build something new, we first have to face one of the problem with traditional outreach and communication. Usually when we talk about astronomy, we rely heavily on long, complex verbal explanation, highly abstract concept. We use beautiful, fancy words. But for a neurodiverse child, for example, a child with autism or an intellectual disability, or even someone who has some speaking difficulties, this standard verbal approach could be a kind of massive wall, a barrier. A significant portion of the public could be excluded from the wonder of a universe simply because of how we choose to tell the story. But the truth is that to explain the universe, we don't need fancy or complicated words. What we really need is to create a shared meaning. Next. So this is our main challenge. How do we share advanced or beautiful astrophysics content without losing the scientific core, but also without overwhelming an audience that has limited verbal skills? The pilot project that I'm presenting today is a kind of a new language framework which integrate augmentative and alternative communication, which we call AAC, and easy language. By combining them, we can do more or less, we can achieve two main goals. First of all, we bypass the verbal overload by using clear, stable visual pathways instead of just spoken words. Secondly, we don't have to water down the science. This framework actually preserves scientific depth because instead of oversimplifying the science, expands the vocabulary through standardized symbols. Next. For those who may not be familiar with augmentative alternative communication, AAC refers to any forms of communication, tools, boards, books, whatever, that supports people who cannot use standard speech. AAC supports people with limited verbal ability by using clear symbols and pictograms, for example. It is an essential and vital tool for children with the autism spectrum or with language delays, because spoken words vanish into air immediately after we say them, but which can be confusing for some children. AAC symbols, on the other hand, stay right there on the page, and they create a permanent visual pathway that helps them to focus, to understand, and fully engage with the content. Next. To give you a practical idea, these are some graphic symbols which can be stylized images, icons, graphical illustration that represent concept, action, or objects. There are different standardized symbol systems you use it around the world. Some of them are distributed under a payment. Some other are free, and there are some platforms, some interesting platform to use this kind of symbols. For example, the Arazak, which is free for educators and scientists. Next. The second part of our formula is to use the easy language. This is not just talking like a child. It is a highly regulated form of standard language designed for achieving the maximum clarity. It strictly removes complex vocabulary, metaphors, and long winding sentences. When we write in easy language, we have some grammar rules very clear, active voice, very common tense, and keep sentences extremely short, for example. Only one core message per sentence, something like this. This completely changes the readability for anyone with cognitive or learning difficulties. Next. So our project, we applied this to astronomy. Now our pilot project is a completely inclusive storybook titled Blue in AAC, and which will be developed as a physical book, but also as a free printable PDF resource online to be completely an open educational resource. The scientific topic is the stellar formation and stellar diversity. So how stars are formed and why they are so different But we also inverted the pedagogy, the pedagogical method. Usually an expert character explains things to the reader. Now our main character, which is Blue, this little round blue alien guy you see in the slide, doesn't explain anything. Is very curious and actually learns about stars just observing, and once in the planet Earth from children in the story. Next. We also want the book to be interactive, so we integrate some QR codes on the page. We can be used by parents and teachers to assess hands-on play-to-learn activities taken from our national platform, EduEnaf and PlayEnaf, or from the international platform Astro-Edu. This allows the kids to go deeper into topics like, for example, gravity through direct and experience or from tactile experience. For this project, we were proud to partner with the expert guidance of a pedagogist, Dr. Marco Pontis, to make sure that the educational framework is absolutely correct. Next. So to wrap up, we are currently right in progress in this pilot experiment. In our vision, this book is obviously ideal for neurodiverse students, but it is so much wider than that. It could work beautiful as a pre-reading tool for toddlers, and it's could be incredibly useful for young foreign children who are arriving in our school and learning the local language. Our plan is to finish the testing phase, validate the result, and officially release the book during this year, 2026, under a Creative Commons license, so anyone can use it in Italian and in English for the moment. And after our next immediate step will be a formal evaluation to measure the impact with the children. So next, thanks a lot for your attention. If you have any other question or want to make in contact to next, there is my this is my email, and thank you again for the attention.
I would ask the person's present. Okay, we have one question, right? Okay.
I cannot hear you.
Hello? Can you hear me, Silvia?
Okay. I can hear you.
You can even look at me. So I wanted to say great talk, and just a note, actually, if you aren't already familiar with it, you might find the Noun project online really helpful for finding ways of explaining different things, because it's all free imagery, and it has lots of different ways of representing the same concept. So just a comment. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you a lot.
Okay. Are there any other questions from Armenia? Not for now. So thank you again, Silvia, for the great work.
Thank you.
And we are moving now to Leonardo De Deo, also from Italy. He will speak about cosmic roots, building inclusive connections between cosmos, Earth, and people. Hi, Leonardo.
Hi.
Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you well.
Great. So just go ahead with your presentation. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you very much for being here and letting me share with you this communication project that I've been coordinating for almost 4 years with this. No, sorry, the slides are wrong. Out of my other talk. Can you hear me? Okay.
Should be on the...
yeah, Cynthia is telling that they are changing it.
Okay, thanks.
Hi, sorry, I lost my connection for a second. Leonardo, can you repeat for me? Do you need my help?
Yeah, the slides are of the other talk of this afternoon.
Okay.
Yeah, I sent two different PDFs.
These are the slides I can see under your name in the back. Maybe just
If you want, I can share my screen.
Yeah, that would be great. You can share your screen.
Let me upload them.
Cynthia is giving you permission to share your screen. So just wait a second.
Tell me if you see them.
Is this the one?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, this is the project that I've been coordinating for almost 4 years. And it really starts from a very general question that I think is fundamental to all the humankind, which is the question of our origin within this planet, within our planet Earth, but also by looking at the skies above us. And this is a very universal question given its existential nature, because as Silvia also mentioned, the sky is universal. And so these questions generates a common sense of identity in which we feel connected automatically and naturally to each other beyond our diversity as citizens of our planet and of the cosmos, which we constantly interact with. And so our team, all members of the Collegio Superiore of the University of Bologna, decided to put together our competencies, not just in astrophysics, like me, but also in agriculture, in medicine, and even music, to build a communication project that starts from this universal question and try to exploit them to foster social inclusion and also personal growth and empowerment, especially for people with intellectual disability. And in particular, our target is a private association named Voland, close to Bologna, for people with diverse intellectual disabilities. Our approach has always been to start from their experience of the cosmos, the sky, or the planet, or even the connection between these worlds, both by personal experience, but also, for example, from movies, books, any kind of source of information. And we try to put together this common sense knowledge, this form of knowledge, with the scientific inquiry-driven knowledge, which we as researchers can bring inside the community. And so we push for the merging of these forms of knowledge and also for reelaborating the scientific concepts through different forms of art, for example, drawings or poetry or writing. And this means a lot because we are validating, in fact, different ways of representing the world and expressing the world, as Silvia also mentioned before. We want to couple science with other forms of language to ensure their correct and equitable transmission. And also integrating them with other practices like cultivating an experimental garden or listening to music or walking into the woods, practices that connect us with the world also as a personal experience. And so in this sense, science is not an authoritative form of knowledge, but it's a shared relational context in which empowering also a relational skill and not just the disciplinary knowledge about the world. So within this framework, we started doing a lot of activities, and among them we have some trips that we realized to places related to science and astronomy in particular, starting from an observatory close to Bologna, managed by the amateur astronomers of Bologna, where we took confidence with the dark and also the telescopes, which is a not trivial experience given that we live in cities and we are not used to dark anymore. And then after this series of meetings, we started going out from our territory, which is Bologna, and we went to Milan, for example, to visit other observatories and also the city of Milan with the Science Museum and the parks. And we had the possibility of observing the partial solar eclipse of this year and also observing the sun with the telescope. And also we participated to Astronomy Festival in Castellaro Lagusel, which is a national festival that allowed to experience science through multisensory activities. This is important because also the relation with the body can be problematic in case of intellectual disabilities. And so we use science also to mediate this relation, not just with other people, but also with our own bodies, which is a really important source of awareness and self-awareness. So astronomy, again, is a tool for this kind of skills. And after other trips, also involving people that are there in Armenia now, we realized that this January, this huge and dream trip to CERN in Geneva, where we experienced a powerful context in which science is embodied into this network of people from different backgrounds and expertises that really put together knowledge to advance science. So it was a really powerful experience in which they really went out of the borders in all the senses and experienced a real form of connection with the community, all inside the scientific question. We try to assess all these activities by some qualitative analysis, although the group is very heterogeneous at the level of disability. But we try to collect, for example, all the messages and pictures in the WhatsApp group after each activity to gather impressions and feedbacks. Also, we organize some in-person meetings periodically, like once each 2 months, or twice a year, focus groups to evaluate more deeply the educational trips and also the attitudes and feelings experienced progressively by the group members. And all of these results have been disseminated in the journal of the Amateur Astronomical Union in Italy, for which Paolo Volpini is representing there, and I encourage you to look at his wonderful poster, but also in the Office of Astronomy Outreach in the IAU, where we participated to several webinars. And we see clear improvements, not just in the disciplinary knowledge of astronomy, which is of course important, but above all on the relational skills that these people developed through astronomy. Relation with themselves, so self-confidence, and also relation with their senses and bodies, but also dialogue between the members of the group, so within the community, and also relation with members outside the group. So we see, for example, at CERN or with other associations. So try also to gain confidence to go outside the boundaries and relate, even within this framework, with people animated by the same sense of curiosity and passion. And to reach youngest generation, we also wrote a book, Chronicles from the Cosmos, in English, that is narrating the trip of a group of photons from an exploding star to the planet. This is an interesting voyage of transformation from physical to chemical energy that is illustrated by the artist Laura Jäger, and tells the scientific endeavor, but also the voyage of personal discovery, again through relation with the other group members, and also the emotion that these photons, as people, lived in this voyage. And we exported this laboratory in some workshops and laboratories, like that in Science Education Festival in Bologna, where we try to engage people in creating their own stories about photons traveling across the universe. And it was a real challenge to address to reach the public and university students within our written stories. And in this framework, in this occasion, Christian, one of the group members, told, I think, a very important thing, that there is a parallel between this trip of photons and our trip, which is both physical in the cosmos, but also psychological in discovering ourselves within the world. And I think this summarized the main aspect of our project and the key message that I wanted to deliver you. So I thank you for your attention, and I leave here my contacts and also some QR codes for the book, which is now in Italian, but is going to be soon translated in English and Spanish, and the Facebook page of our project where all our activities are present. So thank you, and I'm free for questions.
Thank you, Federico. Oh, Leonardo, sorry. I was mixing up. So are there any questions here in the room? No questions? Okay, maybe questions online?
Not at the moment. We don't have questions online.
Okay. So thank you again.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you again, and yeah, we will also hear the talk. We were seeing the presentations before later, right? Later in the afternoon.
Yeah, exactly at 4 p.m. local time.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks.
So we will move to the next speaker. That is Anne Daniels. Hello, everyone. Okay. Let's see. Okay, we've got the AV sorted now. So, hello everyone, I'm Anne Daniels. I work in the communications team of the SKA Observatory. And to start my presentation, I'd like everyone in the room and online to close their eyes. So I'm about to play a sound clip for you, and hopefully that will work. And I'd like you to listen to what you're hearing. So you're hearing notes on a clock speed, silent louder. So because of the spatial distribution. You may open your eyes again. So what did you just listen to? You listened to the first SKLO telescope image. As you can see, these lovely dots on the screen, they're not stars, they're radio galaxies. So each dot is actually a black hole at the center of a galaxy emitting radio waves. So what is the SKLO telescope? Basically, the SK Observatory is building 2 radio telescope arrays, one in Australia called the SKLO telescope, where we will eventually have 512 stations. And we're also building a telescope array in South Africa, where we will have 197 dishes. And you have just listened to the first image produced by just 4 of those stations in Australia. So why did we decide to sonify this image? So our organizational value of diversity and inclusion really means that we try to reach wider audiences. So we thought about playing around with sonifications to try and reach more people. Also, radio waves are invisible, so mapping them to the visible range or having a sound representation are kind of equal. Music has many attributes, so you have the tone, volume, instruments, so you can convey a lot of information in like a short amount of time. And as many of you probably listen to music every day, it's a very popular form of communication, so it's also a great tool for public engagement, and I'll talk a bit more about that later. So I'm going to tell you a bit about how I did it, so that maybe you can do it too. So I worked together with scientists, or science commissioning team in Australia. So they provided me with some data sets and also provided me with some information related to the data, which was very useful. And then I went around and looked at different softwares, and I chose Strauss, which is a Python package developed by Dr. James Treyford. And within Strauss, you basically have 2 options for sonifications. You can use discrete data, where you treat every point as in a separate note, or you can use continuous data, which you sort of translate into music directly, like a time series. You could do a direct translation. So I'm going to look at 2 examples for the 2 different kinds and run you through the process. So for the first one, we'll look at the process for that first image. Here you have that image. So step 1 is getting those points as notes. But they're not actually points, they have a spatial distribution. So that's why I made up this grid system, so that within each square, I could just get the X and Y coordinates and the highest intensity within that square. That way I was able to extract all of them separately. And then based on those coordinates, I calculated the radius from the center and the polar angle. So using those 5 attributes for each radio galaxy, I gave that to Strauss, and they mapped that into music for me. So the order I determined by going around in a circle using the angle. Then the tone and volume were set by the brightness of the radio galaxy. And then the X and Y coordinates are used for stereo location. So if you listen with headphones, you really can tell that radio galaxies on the left and the right, which is good because it conveys what you're seeing in the image as well. But what I want to highlight is that these are all choices. So you can change all of them. For example, you could go over the image from left to right, top to bottom. Maybe you want to emphasize the radio galaxies in the center and make them louder or higher in tone. So these are all artistic choices that you'll have to decide to see which science you want to convey. So we released it last year on Global Accessibility Awareness Day in May, and the general response was quite positive. We also shared it with the EDI working group from the IAU. And through the diverse channels, we got some feedback that we really want to implement in the future, so any future certifications. So for example, I used the angle for the order of the notes, but people said that it's not very intuitive because they didn't really know where it started. So maybe like a radial expansion would have been better there. We got feedback that we could use some standardization. So if we produce a lot of sonifications, that the same elements appear in those. And also the audio description that accompanies this audio could improve a bit. Now we look at a continuous data set. For this, I certified a pulsar. So pulsars, as some of you will know, are highly magnetized, rotating neutron stars. And so they have radio emission beams basically along their poles. So as they spin, whenever the star of the beam is pointed towards us, we sort of get a flash of radio emission. And by measuring that, and the fact that they're very regular rotators, it's great to calibrate your telescope. So the SKLO telescope is using them to test a lot of functions. So pulsar stars have been sonified before, but this is the first time we did it with the SKLO telescope. We're also only using 4 of them stations, so that's 0.8% of the full array. And I got a 10-minute data set from my science colleague. And within those 10 minutes, I looked for 10 seconds of a good signal. So on the left, there's 10 seconds where at the beginning, you don't really see a strong signal. So that's why I chose a good 10 seconds. Here, I just want to say that if you get a data set to sonify, it's really important to look at the data and try to see how to be more effective, choose some good ones. So then I normalized the data and I removed negative values. And then I went to Strauss again and I asked Strauss, can you please map this into music for me? And then this was the result. So what's quite interesting here is that when you're looking at the data, you get visually you get all the information, but you don't really get a sense of the speed of the rotating star. Whereas when you're listening, you really get that. And so you can also, using sonifications, get actually extra information in that sense, which is very useful. So last year we had a standard Royal Astronomical Society Summer Science Exhibition in London. And this event attracted 10,000 people over 7 days. And at this stand, we actually used an iPad with the sonifications, connected with 2 headphones to go up to people and engage with them. So it was kind of overwhelming to have these people there interested in your stand, but it's sometimes hard to know how to start talking to them out of nothing. And I really found it a great tool to have this sonification, because I could just walk up to people and then say, oh, would you like to listen to a star? Which generally people do want to listen to stars. And then I explained what pulsar stars were, and we are building radio telescopes. So it was a great gateway to get engaged with people at the science stand. So in conclusion, this was the first time I did this sonification, and this is really the start of a journey. So as more data becomes available from the SKA telescopes, I plan to keep making them. But I'm looking to improve, so that's why I'm here. So if anyone of you are working on sonifications, I'd like to hear from you, especially in relation to making them more accessible. Maybe how do you approach the accompanying audio descriptions? And also maybe how are you translating science into music? So I'd love to speak to people that are working on this. Also, if you're online, I have my email address here, so feel free to shoot me an email, and I'd love to set up like a small meeting where we could discuss anything. Thank you very much for listening. And if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions? Yes.
Hi, great talk. So I'm kind of curious, as someone also in radio astronomy, how do you deal with telling them that we don't actually listen to data, though?
Yeah, especially I think with the pulsar star, this is a great example, right? Because it sounds like you're listening to a star, but actually you're listening to the intensity increasing. So when I was at the stand, I think that was the perfect time to explain it, because they're listening to it and you can really explain that easily. I think the challenge is online if you're posting it on social media, because then you're just getting snapshots. So it's definitely a challenge. I don't have great tips and tricks at the moment.
No, I think it's a great idea. Don't get me wrong. I was also curious if you thought about partnering it with, I know there's like Python packages to turn radio images into sort of a 3D printable file. So if you thought about like comparing it to that, so you can be like, this is more also what we're doing as well.
I think that, so that's fantastic. So at the stand, we had a 3D printed pulsar star, so people could feel like the beams and see the beams emitting from them, and also have like magnetic lines, which I thought was like, that with the sonification was great. So at the moment, we don't have a lot of data available yet, we're still in commissioning. But once that happens, I think that would be something we really would like to look into. So thank you for bringing it up.
Thank you.
Well, I just want to point out that the problem of telling people that we aren't listening to the stars is no different than what we deal with in outreach when we show people most pictures of stars, because we're not looking at them. We can't see that stuff, you know, whatever the wavelengths are. Get questions like that, is that the real colors? And then you have to figure out what that means. So I do think it's really important to explain to people that this is a representation of stuff we can't really see, but this is how we get a feel for it. This is really nice.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think, yeah, no, I'd love to speak a bit more about it. I think what we're trying to capture is some of the science and convey that. And that's the same with images. You choose your filters and your colors to convey, for example, like a circular shape. Yeah. So we try to capture some elements in this data sonification as well. Thank you. Okay. We can go with online questions.
All right, thank you, Annie. So there are some suggestions from Anna for you in the chat. I guess I don't know if you can read it.
Yeah. So it's a similar comment about having tactile representations in addition to the sonification. And I think a lot of people here today are talking about that multisensory experience. So I'm going to listen to that, and maybe in the future we can implement that. Thank you.
Also, there is one more question for you. So actually, it's can you show the email slide again? We tried to take the email and that slide went too quickly.
I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah, that would be great.
Right. So we finished this session. I would like to thank Mayuri, that was the online chair, and all the presenters, both online and in person here, for giving us such informative and really important talks and sharing their work with us. So thank you again for being here in this session, and see you at the next session at, I hope that I have the right, yeah, at 2 o'clock here in Yerevan. So goodbye to anyone online. See you. Bye. Thanks.